The dock shimmered under the mid-morning sun, the air thick with salt and money. Sleek yachts rocked gently against their ropes, each one gleaming like a floating palace. I stood at the edge, clutching the strap of my faded leather bag, feeling the sting of a dozen judging eyes behind me. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. You? A cruise ticket? Uncle Frank's laughter cracked through the sea breeze. He leaned on his silver-tipped cane, the one he didn't need but carried to look important. Dream on, kid. Maybe they'll let you carry luggage if you smile pretty enough. Laughter erupted behind him, Aunt Lila's shrill giggle, Madison's mocking snort. They loved moments like this, the kind that reminded me I'd never belonged among them. Frank, don't be so harsh, Lila said, adjusting her wide-brimmed hat. She's probably here to watch the boats. Poor thing, it must be the closest she's ever been to a vacation. Their daughter Madison smirked, flicking her glossy hair over one shoulder. Or maybe she's hoping someone drops $1 overboard. I didn't move. Didn't blink. I'd learned that silence unnerved people more than anger ever could. The seagulls screamed overhead, as if mocking them on my behalf. Uncle Frank chuckled again. What are you doing here, Emma? Don't tell me you think one of these yachts belongs to you. My voice came out calm, but sharp. Maybe it does. He laughed so hard, he nearly dropped his cane. You? Please. You can barely pay rent. I heard you're still working that assistant job in that small-town hotel. Be realistic, sweetheart. Madison snapped a photo of me with her phone. For the family chat, she said sweetly. Caption, dreamer with no dock pass. I exhaled slowly, eyes fixed on the horizon. You might want to save your battery, I said softly. Something tells me you'll want to record what's about to happen next. Uncle Frank looked at me like I'd just claimed the moon. And what's that supposed to mean? Before I could answer, footsteps echoed across the wooden planks. Firm, purposeful, the kind of stride that demanded respect. A man in a crisp white uniform approached, his gold-trimmed cap glinting under the sun. The crowd of onlookers parted instinctively as he walked straight toward us. Excuse me, Frank said, smirking. If you're looking for the owner, she's not it. He jabbed a thumb toward me. She's probably lost. The captain didn't even glance at him. He stopped in front of me, posture perfect, expression steady. Then, to everyone's shock, he gave a respectful salute. Good morning, Miss Collins, he said, voice deep and clear. The yacht is fueled and awaiting your command. Your crew is assembled, and the catering team has loaded your requested menu. Every word landed like thunder. The laughter behind me died instantly. Aunt Lila froze mid-breath. Madison lowered her phone, her lips parting in disbelief. Uncle Frank blinked. What did you just call her? Miss Collins, the captain repeated unbothered. Owner of the Horizon's Grace. Shall we depart as scheduled? A smile tugged at my lips. Yes, Captain. Give me 5 minutes. He nodded sharply. Aye, ma'am. Then he turned and headed back toward the yacht, my yacht, its polished hull glimmering beneath the sunlight like a mirror reflecting every ounce of their disbelief. Silence gripped the dock. You bought that? Madison stuttered. Technically, I said, adjusting my sunglasses, I designed it first. Aunt Lila's mouth fell open. Designed? What on earth are you talking about? I'm the lead interior architect behind the Collins Marine project, I said. When the investors pulled out, I took a risk and bought the prototype with the savings you all mocked me for keeping. Uncle Frank's face drained of color. You're kidding. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Remember when you told me I'd waste my life chasing impossible things? That maybe I should find a man to rescue me? He swallowed hard, saying nothing. Well, I continued. Turns out I didn't need saving. I just needed you to keep doubting me long enough for me to prove you wrong. Madison took a step back, her perfect posture faltering. But how? You were always quiet. Invisible. I smiled faintly. Funny how people confuse silence with weakness. The captain returned with another salute. Miss Collins, the tide's ideal. Shall I prepare to cast off? Yes, Captain, I said softly. Let's go. As I stepped onto the ramp, the wind caught my hair, tossing it over my shoulder like a final goodbye to the life they tried to cage me in. The yacht's deck gleamed under my feet, solid and mine. Behind me, Uncle Frank's voice cracked. Emma, wait, come on, you don't just own a yacht. I turned back, meeting his bewildered eyes. You're right, I said. I own 3. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Lila's designer glasses slid down her nose. Madison whispered, no way. I leaned against the railing, calm and poised. Enjoy the dock, everyone. I've got an ocean to explore. The engines roared to life, a deep, powerful hum that vibrated through the planks. As the yacht began to drift from the pier, their figures shrank, small, powerless, irrelevant. And for the first time in years, I felt light. Every insult, every smirk, every cruel word, they stayed on that dock. I didn't need to shout. My success spoke louder than any revenge ever could. The sea opened wide before me, and as the coastline faded, so did the last remnants of who I used to be. I wasn't their family failure anymore. I was the woman they should have never underestimated. The sun dipped low as the horizon's grace cut through the open sea, leaving a trail of gold and foam behind. The sound of the engines hummed like victory, steady and calm. I stood near the railing, sipping cold lemonade, still hearing echoes of their stunned silence in my mind. For years, I'd been the family's struggling dreamer. The one who never fit in. The one who stayed quiet at dinner while everyone else compared salaries and vacations. But now, for the first time, I didn't need to prove anything. I just had to keep sailing. My phone buzzed on the table beside me. Uncle Frank. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. I answered. Hello. His voice was hesitant, almost small. Emma, listen, about earlier, well, maybe we went too far. We were just joking around. Joking? I said quietly. That's what you call years of humiliation? He sighed heavily. You have to understand, we didn't think you'd turn out like this. You surprised us. I smiled faintly. That's the thing, Uncle Frank. You never thought at all. There was a pause, only the distant crash of waves between us. Maybe we can talk when you get back, he said finally. Your aunt feels terrible. Does she? I asked, because the last thing she said to me was that poverty runs in my blood. Hard to forget something like that. He went silent again. For the first time, he didn't have a comeback. Frank, I said after a moment, my voice softening, I didn't build this life to make you jealous. I built it because I got tired of waiting for permission to live one. The line was quiet. Then, almost in a whisper, he said, You're your father's daughter, you know that? He would have been proud. That stopped me cold. He hung up before I could reply. I stood there for a long time, letting the words settle. My father, gone too soon, had been the only one who believed in me when everyone else laughed. I'd lost him before I ever made it. Now, the success I had felt almost bittersweet. A shadow moved beside me. It was Captain Harris, the same calm, respectful man who'd stunned my family earlier. Everything all right, ma'am? He asked. Yeah, I said, staring at the sunset. Just realizing winning doesn't always feel like revenge. Sometimes it just feels like peace. He nodded. Peace is the best kind of victory. I smiled. Maybe you're right. He adjusted his cap and looked out toward the fading light. Docking in Charleston tomorrow morning. Should I confirm your guest list? Guest list. I frowned. Yes, ma'am. The charity event you're hosting aboard tomorrow night. It's still on the itinerary. For a moment, I'd forgotten. The event wasn't for publicity. It was for single mothers starting their own small businesses. Women like the one I used to be, ignored, underestimated, dismissed. Confirm it, I said. And make sure they know they don't need to bring anything except hope. He smiled. Aye, ma'am. As he walked off, the yacht's lights flickered on, soft gold against the deep blue sea. I took one last glance toward the distant horizon. Somewhere out there, my family would eventually see the news headlines about my foundation, my designs, my work. But by then, I'd be far beyond needing their approval. Because success wasn't just about proving them wrong. It was about proving myself right. The waves whispered beneath the deck, steady and endless. And this time, I wasn't running from my past. I was sailing straight into my future. By the next morning, Charleston's harbor glimmered beneath a soft golden sky. The city's skyline reflected on the still water, and my yacht, the Horizon's Grace, looked like something out of a dream. The crew moved briskly, setting up tables, lights, and delicate white flowers for the evening's charity gala. It wasn't about luxury, it was about purpose. Every plate, every seat, every donation slip was meant for women who'd once stood where I did, doubted, underestimated, invisible.
I checked the list one last time.
All local business applicants confirmed, said Captain Harris, holding his clipboard. Media coverage approved. And he hesitated. One guest requested entry under your family's name. My stomach tightened.
Who?
Frank Collins. For a moment, I didn't answer. The name hung in the air like a shadow. Approve it, I said finally. Let him come. The captain nodded. Understood, ma'am. By dusk, the harbor glowed. The deck was alive with quiet music and soft laughter. Women in elegant yet modest dresses mingled with investors, sharing stories of struggle and survival. The sea breeze carried the scent of citrus and salt. It felt peaceful until I saw him. Uncle Frank stood near the entry, awkward in a suit that didn't quite fit, hands clasped behind his back. His pride seemed to have stayed on the dock. Emma, he said, approaching slowly, his eyes uncertain. I looked him over. Didn't expect to see you here. I wanted to, he said quietly. I read about what you're doing. The foundation, the scholarships. It's impressive. That's funny, I said. You used to call my ideas cute charity fantasies. He exhaled, guilt softening his face. I deserved that. I was wrong. I crossed my arms, my tone calm but firm. You didn't just out me, Uncle Frank. You humiliated me. At family dinners, birthdays, holidays. I spent years trying to prove I was worth a seat at the table you wouldn't let me near. His gaze dropped to the polished deck. I know, and I can't undo it. Silence stretched between us, broken only by the gentle sound of waves. Then, for the first time, I saw something in his eyes, regret. Real, heavy regret. He looked around at the guests, the decorations, the women laughing near the railing. You built all this, he said softly, without anyone's help. No, I said, shaking my head. Not without help, without your help. I had plenty from people who believed in me, people you never saw because you were too busy looking down. He nodded slowly. I came tonight because I wanted to see the woman you became, and to tell you I'm sorry. It wasn't much, but it was more than I'd ever gotten before. I studied his face, the years of arrogance washed away by humility. You know, I said gently, for years, I thought revenge would make me feel free. But it doesn't. Forgiveness does. His eyes glistened. You forgive me? I nodded. Not because you deserve it. Because I do. He swallowed hard, then smiled faintly. You sound just like your father. At that, my throat tightened. The mention of my dad, gone before any of the success, hit deep. He taught me that respect isn't given by family name or money. It's earned by how you treat people. The captain approached and quietly whispered, They're waiting for your speech, ma'am. I looked back at my uncle. Stay. Listen. Maybe you'll understand who I really am now. He nodded silently. I walked to the mic as the crowd turned toward me, the ocean glittering behind. When people doubt you, I began, voice steady, let them. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't proving them wrong, it's proving yourself right. Applause filled the air, mixing with the rhythm of the waves. And for the first time in my life, the dock wasn't a place of mockery. It was where everything began, and where I finally found peace. The night deepened, and the harbor sparkled with reflections of gold and blue from the yacht's lights. Laughter, clinking glasses, and soft violin music filled the air. The gala was in full swing. For once, I wasn't a quiet observer. I was the center of it, not because of wealth or title, but because I had built something real. As I stepped down from the stage after my speech, I caught sight of Uncle Frank standing by the railing, looking out at the sea. His proud posture was gone. His shoulders sagged like a man weighed down by years of guilt. Guests mingled and took photos, and a few reporters asked for quotes. But my eyes stayed on him. He looked lost, alone. For a second, I almost turned away. Then I remembered my father's words. Kindness is never weakness, Emma. It's strength in disguise. I walked toward him slowly. You look like you've seen a ghost, I said softly. He chuckled bitterly. Just memories. I used to bring your dad here when we were your age. We'd watch the yachts and dream about owning one someday. Never thought his daughter would be the one to do it. I smiled faintly. He'd be proud you finally admitted that. He looked at me, eyes glistening. I should have treated you better, Emma. I knew you had something special. But I let jealousy blind me. You reminded me too much of your father. Fearless, stubborn, impossible to control. I wanted to crush that before the world did. I exhaled, my voice low but steady. The world didn't crush me, Uncle Frank. You almost did. He nodded, his voice cracking. And I'll live with that. Just then, a loud commotion broke the calm. A waiter stumbled near the bar, knocking over a tray of glasses. The crash startled everyone. A group of elderly guests gasped as one of the heavy lanterns tipped dangerously near the edge of the railing, straight toward a young girl standing close to it. Without thinking, Frank moved. He lunged forward, grabbing the metal lantern before it hit her. The girl screamed, the crowd gasped, and the lantern clattered harmlessly onto the deck. Frank's sleeve tore, and a sharp edge grazed his arm, leaving a faint line of blood. For a heartbeat, everything froze. He winced but forced a shaky smile. Guess I still move fast for an old fool. I rushed over, grabbing his arm. You're bleeding. It's nothing, he said, brushing it off. Just a scratch. The little girl's mother rushed over, thanking him repeatedly. Frank just nodded quietly, embarrassed by the attention. As the tension faded, I realized something. The man who once laughed at my pain had just put himself in harm's way to protect a stranger. Maybe he was finally trying to change, not with words but with action. Later that night, as the guests departed and the yacht's deck quieted, I found him again near the stern, nursing his arm with a napkin. You didn't have to do that, I said softly. He smiled faintly. Maybe I needed to. He looked out over the waves. You showed me tonight what real strength looks like, Emma. It's not money, not status, it's grace. I've never had that. I placed a hand on his shoulder. Then start now. He blinked, eyes wet. You'd let me? I nodded. Everyone deserves one clean slate. The yacht rocked gently, the sea whispering beneath us. For the first time, we stood together in silence, not as enemies, not as opposites, but as family finally learning to heal. As the city lights shimmered across the water, I realized this night wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about closure. Forgiveness had anchored me deeper than any yacht ever could. And when the morning sun rose, painting the sky in gold, it didn't feel like the end of a journey. It felt like the beginning of peace.